Blessed be everyone. Welcome to the first live of the year, the first Mystery Witch School live of 2024. I hope you had a wonderful New Year and New Year's celebrations, and hopefully May 2024 be an awesome magical year for everybody. For those of you watching the replay, welcome to the replay. While we wait for YouTube to go and put notifications out for people and for people to jump on, I'll just talk a little bit about Mystery Witch School, particularly for those of you who may be new to Mystery Witch School. What we do here is I focus mostly on, obviously, witchcraft and Wicca. And it's really for soulful witches and soulful pagans, Wiccans who want to connect to their spiritual roots, to reach your full potential and consciously create a life that brings you joy, peace, and magic into your life, without the confusion and without the doubt, the self-doubt getting in the way. And I do that through one-on-one coaching. I do that through my online courses. I've got 3 big online courses now, one in tarot, one in shadow work and chakras, and the other one is in Wicca and witchcraft. So you can check out all of those in the description field below this video once it is published, and also on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. If you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice, I have a free video. It's called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. And I'll put a link to that in the chat. It's also in the description field as well. So you can have a look at that if you're wanting to know how to start your witchcraft practice, but you're just confused by all of the information out there. When do you start? What do you start with? When do you learn this? When do you learn that? How do you pace yourself along the way? Because there's a lot to know and you can't do it all at once. So that will help show you how you can do that if you're doing it on your own. And also at the end, I'll let you know how you can work with me if you're wanting to have me as your mentor. Today's topic is about magical objects. So that includes your amulets, your talismans, your wards, and I'll also just talk about other magical objects or enchanted objects too. I won't go into too much detail about that, but they're out there. And if you are anybody who lives in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, or you're heading that way, there's a great museum on haunted objects there that I would love to see. That is supposed to be really, really awesome. So if you know of any other museums around the world where there's haunted objects, certainly let us know in the description field or the chat, because they'd be fun places to visit, where you're seeing objects that have spirit attachments or entity attachments to them, all in a pretty crazy museum. So we're going to talk about that today. So welcome, Grant Hawkins, and Moira. Welcome to everybody else. Let me know in the chat where you're from, and if there's anything you want to join in and say in the chat, certainly do that. And in the description field as well, in the comments field if you're watching the replay too. Okay, and Happy New Year, Mike. Awesome. So let's start with the topic. Hi, Stormcaller. Blessed be. So let's start with the topic of magical objects. Washington, awesome. So everybody's coming in with where they are. Canada, awesome. Peace to you too, Vincent. So hi, Jasmine. Okay. So a magical object is really, Amora's in Canada too, awesome. So magical objects are any object that is infused with some sort of enchanted energy. You could almost say maybe haunted objects are magical objects too, but they're sort of different because they've got a spirit attachment or something attached to them that's more of an entity type of nature, whereas a magical object is something that you've put energy into. You put your own energy into, and you're putting that energy into that object for a specific purpose, much the same as you would if you were making a magical bag, for example, or any a magical bag is a magical object, essentially. So it's an object that you've infused energy into. So you could include bags, like little bags and pouches, in magical objects. You can include enchanted candles in magical objects, anything that you've used magically that you've enchanted with your energy. Your athame is a magical object, your cup, your pentacle, the wand, staff, besom, all of those things are magical objects because they have been infused with certain energy, cleansed and consecrated, maybe for ritual. Other things are used to help you with your magic. They have an energy to them that's deliberate. You've deliberately put specific energy into that object. Your crystals, for example, can be magical objects as well if you're particularly using them and you've programmed them for something in particular as well. They can also be magical objects. You could make pretty much any object a magical object simply by infusing an intent, a magical intent, into that object energetically. So the world's your oyster when it comes to what we term to be objects anyway. Everything vibrates, so everything has a vibration already. So even the things that we think are solid, like a table or a laptop or a mouse, are vibrating energy. And when we put our energy, merge our energy with that energy of that object, then we're vibrating that object at a frequency of whatever we're putting into that energetically. So it's think of merging energy together, your energy of intent and the object's energy together, making that object particular. Okay, I'm getting so got some questions coming in. Awesome already. Okay, hi Jeb. Hi Mihalitsa. Okay, so now we've determined what a magical object is. How would you make a magical amulet, necklace for protection? I know how to do mojo bags and bottles. Awesome, I'm actually going to do that today. So we'll do that. I'm going to use the pentagram I've got around my neck as an example. How can I say it being a gentleman, but today feeling very amorous? My planets and moons must be aligned. It happens. It happens. Look, enjoy the feeling. What do you do with magical objects and spell items after they have served their purpose? Can you reuse them? Okay. Sometimes you can. Sometimes it's best not to. So it really just depends on what you enchanted them with in the first place and whether you can neutralize it first before you use it for something else. Energy changes. So you can energy doesn't dissipate, it changes. So you can change the frequency of energy through your magical intent. That's called alchemy. So that's why you could potentially enchant a magical object for one thing and then further down the track change it to something else. But it really, really depends on how often you've used that object and how much energy it's accumulated over the years. Sometimes if there's a lot of energy, like really strong energy that's been used over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, it could be quite time consuming and use a lot of energy to tweak that or change that in some way. So it may not be really that successful, if you know what I mean. It may still have the residual energy of its other function in there too, and you may not want that. So it just really, really depends. Okay. Okay. Hi, Nico. Blessed day. Okay. Talisman to stop disrespectful energy vampires from barging unwanted into my dream state. I've tried everything. They are relentless. Okay, awesome. We'll talk about that. So using talismans to do that, or an amulet, really. So the different type of magical objects that we tend to use in witchcraft or Wicca are amulets, and they're generally used for protection. They will put a ward of protection around you or whatever it is, or whoever it is that you're doing the object for. A lot of witches and Wiccans wear pentagrams, okay, and they're usually charged with the energy of protection because the pentagram itself symbolizes the higher self's control or ability to be able to control the elements. So with the tip of the pentagram pointed upwards, it's showing that your higher self, or you, the witch, the magician, can control the elements. And so you can see that as a symbol of protection. It's often used as a symbol of protection. And that's why we wear them. And that is why it's probably a very common symbol to wear for protection, but you can also use any object for protection. The hexagram you could use, Christians use crucifixes, various different other cultures have different symbols that they use for protection. And whilst the geometry of the pentagram, etc., or other geometrical shapes have an aspect of protection in the symbolism itself, like the Trisketa, for example, has a symbol of protection or an element of protection in the way that it's been designed. It has that aspect to it. If you're really wanting to use it, though, for protection, you do need to charge it with the energy and the intent and the instruction to do what it is that you want it to do, rather than just buy a pentagram and think that it's going to protect you simply because it's a pentagram. Not so much. It's really not in the object itself. It's in what you do with that object as to how potent it's going to be as a amulet, for example. So when you're talking about protection magic, you're talking amulets for protection. The other type of magical object that we would normally make, apart from magical bags, is a talisman. So a talisman again can be an object of jewelry. It could be a anything could be a talisman. For example, you could use a business card as a talisman. It's good to use metals because they conduct energy or work with energy well, but you don't have to. With a talisman, you can make them pretty much out of anything. Again, the magical pouches, magical bags can be either amulets or talismans, depending on what you've programmed them with. But a lot of people will use jewelry for talismans. And what a talisman's doing is, rather than, whereas an amulet's kind of putting protection around you, a talisman is bringing something to you. It's attracting something to you, something you're wanting to you. So if you're wanting to attract love into your life, then a talisman, a love talisman, would be the way to go. And wearing that talisman on you when you go out and socialize is a way of drawing that love to you. And you can be specific when you do the spell as to who you're looking for, what sort of person you're looking for when it comes to drawing love. You can have friendship talismans and success talismans, money talismans, anything that you're wanting to draw to you, you can use a talisman to do. You can also use a talisman to carry something for you that you can put somewhere to do either a job of warding something. So it's more like a ward, actually. And I'll talk about wards next, actually. If you've say, for example, you really want to work in a particular place, and you have the ability to be able to go into that workspace and plant a talisman there, for example. So you may have like maybe a stone, just a stone that might fit in very nicely to one of the plastic pot plants that are in offices or wherever it is you want to be. But on that stone, you might enchant that stone with some runes or some symbols of success. Okay. And you can use any symbolism you want. You could use magical alphabets, you can use runes, you could use your own sigils. You can look up sigils and use sigils that already exist and either draw them on that stone, or even better, if you're wanting to be very discreet, you can oil them. So put them in oil. So draw your symbol or your rune or whatever it is that you're using as your symbol on your talisman in an oil. So that way then no one can see it, but it's there. And then plant that talisman in the workplace that you're wanting to work at or something like that. So that's an example of how you could also use a talisman to do a job for you away from you, for example. Now, a ward is like an amulet, except it's something that you're going to put somewhere. So, a ward's often used more for protecting your home or protecting your room, protecting other people, protecting objects. It could be protecting your land. It's got a protective nature. So, it's warding off anything malefic that you don't want. So most witches will have various different wards around their homes and premises to ward off both physical, uh, harmful things such as burglars and break-ins, or physical 3D stuff, and also the psychic astral stuff too, that you can either have projected your way intentionally or unintentionally. And a ward, again, can have symbols on it, much the same as a charm would. You can use runes, you can use sigils, you can use geometry. You could just use a pentagram as your symbol for warding off because it's got that protective aspect. So they're the main things. The haunted objects that I was talking about earlier that you may see in those museums, the haunted object museums, are often objects where people that practice more of a form of witchcraft, where they're basically housing spirits in an object, or a spirit has decided to go into an object. Often those objects have had people deliberately attract spirits to them so that they can then get the spirit or the object to do what it is that they want them to do. So this is coming more into traditional witchcraft, and maybe some forms of magic where you're using that object as like a spirit house, or even capturing a lower astral spirit of some sort so that you've got that spirit there doing your bidding in some way. They can also be used, of course, for protection and various other things too, but you kind of got to be careful with that kind of magic because things off you have to have a lot of a sense of working with spirits and having that ability to be able to control anything unruly like that. So I'm not going to talk about that um, here or on YouTube or anything like that because it's not really that necessary, but some people are really into it, and that's fine. The objects that you find in the museums often are objects that are quite old, and that sort of thing has happened to them. So they'd be fun to visit those museums. Interestingly enough, I know a couple of years ago you could get like magical dolls, like these dolls that had spirits attached to them on Etsy. They were spirit dolls, basically. And there was somebody selling these spirit dolls on Etsy, and you can probably see YouTube videos about people who've bought these magical objects or these haunted objects and uh, see what happens or what they claim to happen when they have those objects. Sometimes there's those boxes too that people will buy as well that are supposed to be haunted or enchanted boxes. So there's a lot of things on YouTube about that too. Okay, but getting back to creating something for yourself. I'll get back to the questions though, because there's a lot of questions. Okay. Um, let's see. Tons of tiger eye. Tiger eye is very protective. It's great for confidence. If you find that you're not feeling confident in a situation and you're wanting that extra boost of confidence, tiger eye is really great for that too, as well as being protective. Hi, Vincent. I use cedar, sage, sweetgrass, and tobacco to cleanse my home. Awesome. So, using herbs are a wonderful way to do cleansings. I've even used the witch's cross. Okay, maybe a good fragranced oil to get the feeling of good vibes. Absolutely. Oils are great for dispelling negative energy. So, a sound. So, if you've got a drum or a bell to go around and drum your home or bell your home. Even wind chimes will help break up energy. Use better intent while charging. Awesome. My rune is the rune for life. Awesome. Okay. Okay. What about having, whoops. What about having a spirit bless an amulet? You can get, yes, you can certainly ask them to bless if you're working with a god or goddess, or if you work with any of the spirits that you might work with, say an angelic spirit or a nature spirit, to ask for blessings. That's fine because you're not housing them or you're not trying to attach them to that object. Okay. Wait. Okay. What would be a good healing stone? Depends on what you want to heal. Healing in general, go for the blue stones. Blue calcite is wonderful for healing. It's very gentle and has a really beautiful healing energy to it. But there's a lot of stones that are great for healing. It depends what it is that you're wanting to heal, because they've all got their different connections to various different parts of the body and different things that they are better at healing than others. Okay, silver was supposed to break out in price. Yeah. Well, it's supposed to, yeah. Is there a way to know when the talisman charm is worn off? Energy beings, high consciousness. Yes. So it's working with the elements with a pentagram. So your high consciousness working with the elements. If you're wanting to do a amulet for protection, for example, I'm just going to use my pentagram here. I know some people actually often ask me where to get like just a plain pentagram. You can get one like this. I got this in Australia, of course, but you can actually get one of these. It's sterling silver on Amazon. They have like a really basic, they've got lots of different pentagrams, but they've also got just the basic one like this. I'll put a link to where you can get that on Amazon too, if you want to do that afterwards. And I'll just, actually, I'll grab it now. So you can go there if you're wanting to have a look at that or have a look around on Amazon anyway. For just a simple silver pentagram. I bought this when I have spoken about this before on other videos, that I was in a group, a Gurdjieff group, that started to turn into a cult. And it was actually what encouraged me to come back to the craft, which was actually really, really good. But one of the first things I did when I came back to the craft was I bought myself this pentagram to use as protection against the manipulation of the leader of that group. And when I bought the pentagram, I had to hide it. Okay, so I didn't want anyone to see it or know that it was there. So I used to pin it in my underwear so that no one could see it, but it was still on me. So I enchanted it and then I had it with me always. When I first started attaching it to me, I actually just had a ribbon tied around it and tied around my bra. And I was at the tea house or the place where this group met, and the pentagram came loose and it actually fell down. And the whole group of people were there, and I was thinking, "Oh, no, I hope nobody sees it." So I had to very discreetly, it was at night too, so I thought, "Oh, no, I've lost it, and then somebody's gonna find it the next day." But what happened was, I was actually able to see it anyways. I could picked it up without anybody knowing that it was there. It was almost like I felt that, um, the pentagram was letting me know that I hadn't secured it properly, A, which I hadn't, I guess. And B, that even though maybe the force of that group may have been stronger than I thought it was, the pentagram was still available to me, and I just had to go back and basically recharge it and make it stronger because it had come off, but I was able to find it and uh, put it back on again. So it hadn't left me, it had stayed with me, but I still had to make sure that I actually made a stronger intent when I used it again. So this has been with me all of that time. So if you are charging a pentagram or any amulet, uh, it's really quite a simple process. You can light a candle, make sure that you're in an alpha state, so get yourself into a meditative state first. Focus on what protection feels like. How does it feel to feel protected? You could visualize a force field, an energetic force field around you that lets in the good stuff. But thank you, Not Queen. Thank you for that super chat. Awesome. Thank you. So it's coming as, imagine the force field is just coming out around you, and it's allowing the good stuff to come through, but it's not allowing the malefic stuff to come through. So when you're doing the charging of your pentagram, when you're speaking the charge of your pentagram while you're using your energy into it, you can be precise as to what you want it to do. So I'm going to give you an example of how I do that with this pentagram. So if I was charging this pentagram, I would obviously not have it around my neck, but I like to put it in the palm of my hand and then put the other palm over the top of it so that my energy from both my palms is going into the object. And just imagining, using your imagination to channel that energy between that's coming out of the palms of your hands, and you will notice that there is energy that comes out of the palms of your hands, and allowing that to totally infiltrate that object. And you can just allow that energy and feel the heat of the energy of the palms of your hand as it's going into your object that you're charging up. And feel into what it feels like to be protected. You could see this amazing energy just coming around you. So it's building around you bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The energy could have a color, maybe it's a blue color, or it could be like a kind of a watery kind of force field around you, or like a laser force field around you, whatever you imagine a field to be around you. You can use that imagery. And then you can use a charge like this. I charge you, pentagram of silver, with the energy of protection, protecting me from harm, hindrances, enchantments, and all things malefic to me. This is my will, so mote it be. And keep holding that object between the palms of your hand, um, and feel into that protection. You can charge your amulet to be more alchemical in its nature. So rather than seeing it as a force field that's stopping something, it could be a field that transmutes things. So if you imagine a malefic intent coming at you as like an arrow. So you could use that in your imagination, and you see that the arrow hits the force field and it either dissolves, it falls to the ground, or it transmutes into love hearts. So you can use your imagination to program the object, the charm, to do what you want to do with that any malefic energy that's coming towards you. And by malefic energy, that's people's psychic intent, psychic attacks, uh, or even just 3D type of energy. Imagine that it's come to the force field and then it's something's happening to it. It's either dissipated, it's dropped to the ground, or it's transmuted into love and something beneficial. Thank you, Jeb Garcia. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So the the imagination is what gives it the intent. You can also use rebound magic too, reversal magic. So some people may see, the arrow coming at the force field, and then it gets sort of like ricochets off and goes back to where it was sent from. Uh, it's a matter of yourself whether you want to, hit back at the intention so that it goes back to sender. It really is. It depends on how you want to work your magic. But one of the most powerful ways to do it is to transmute the energy into something helpful to you, so that you're using the energy that that person may send you, or whatever the situation is, and you're actually transmuting it. There becomes a transmutation of energy. And so you can utilize that energy for your own benefit then. Rather than always being on the defensive, you're actually taking it and using it, which is a bit more of, I suppose, a Taoist approach or a martial arts approach to working with energy. And I kind of like that one because it's very effective, actually. And that goes for anything. If somebody is throwing something at you, you can always transmute that energy into something helpful to you and become an alchemist, because that's what alchemy is. It's about transmuting energy. And that way you're getting more energy. So that person's losing and depleting their energy, and you're actually getting more energy, and it's helpful to you. So when it comes to the people that may be psychic vampires, as somebody was mentioning further up the top, about being attacked by people at night, certainly make yourself a amulet, whether it's a pentagram or whether it's something else, for all people that may be involved in that. So if you feel that they're attacking your family, all family members have that protection. You also need a ward as well. So a ward is exactly the same thing, but it would be something that you would put at every opening to your home. So that would be your front door, back door. You could put it over your windows. You could put it over the rooms as well, so that you're getting a lot of that energy warding off any attack. There's other things that you can do too, working with one of the things that I did with the pentagram, again, to ward off, again, this was the cult leader, um, was actually drawing an energetic pentagram at the door of our bedroom, just energetically drawing an inverted pentagram not an inverted pentagram, sorry, a banishing pentagram, earth pentagram, at the doorway. So it was totally energetic. There wasn't any physical object there. I had to do it every night, though. If there had been a physical object there, I probably wouldn't have had to do it every night because the ward would have done it for me, but I was being lazy, I guess. And so I drew it every night before we went to bed. I would draw the pentagram on the door, take up the whole doorway with a pentagram energetically drawn. And that actually stopped the astral intrusions that he was doing at night. So the pentagram is pretty powerful form of protection. So if you want to draw some pentagrams, it doesn't matter what they're on. They can be on cardboard. Draw them, put your energy of protection into those objects, and then put them all around your home to ward off those people, and then learn how to do magic yourself. Learn how to call in the 4 archangels, for example, at night before you go to bed, and get them to surround your home or your bedroom in protection, so that you're working with other beings of protection to protect you as well. Bring in as much as you can if you are under attack. Do all that you can to have that protection around you. It's a lot of effort to go to, but you kind of have to do it when you're in that situation. You do have to do a number of different things, because one thing probably isn't going to be enough. Okay. Seems like my weekly pay date was every other day, and of habit I withdrew my daily. Okay. Okay, what have we got here? Oh, okay. So what did you it seemed like my weekly pay date was every other day. Okay, was that the result of something? Um, Orbs are electromagnetic bioorganisms that are actually energy structures. Yes, transmuting the energy. Okay. They're in a coven and I was the sacrifice. Oh, okay. But I've tapped into my gifts. Awesome. Yes. Oh, it's Tarot Destroyer. Awesome. You're funny. Okay. Oh, you split your comments into 2 segments, Jeb. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, silver was supposed to break out in price. Oh, you're talking when you were talking about silver. Awesome. Okay, I get it now, Jeb. Thanks, Jeb. Okay. Okay, so that was an example anyway of how you can do a talisman, sorry, an amulet. A talisman's exactly the same thing, okay? So if you're um, doing a talisman, again, as I'll use that example for the job, for example, and you really want to have a job in that specific place, then you can charge it exactly the same way. It's just that your intent is going to be whatever your intent is. So, for example, you would say, I charge you a talisman of, I charge you whatever the rune might be, or it might be a pentagram. Again, I charge you pentagram with the intent to work in this location, whatever that location is. So, be the name of the company, the address. I now work at this location, happiness, harmony, whatever it else that you want, so mote it be. So it's really just writing what you want in the positive, in the present moment, and doing that and charging it and imagining what it would be like to work in that location. And it's the same thing, being in the wish fulfilled, seeing the end result, being and living in the end result of the wish fulfilled. And whether you're doing a talisman, whether you're doing an amulet, a ward, you do the same thing. Magic is very repetitive. You're always doing pretty much the same thing. You're putting energy into something, you're being within the wish fulfilled in your imagination. And then once you're finished with a charm, with an amulet or a talisman, let it cook for about 24 hours before you do use it. You can sit it on your altar if you have one for that 24 hours. You could sit it within a ring of crystals if you've been using crystals to also help infuse that object with energy. You could put herbs on it if you're working with herbs to help infuse it with that energy. Whatever it is that you're using, any of your tools that you're using, put your uh, talisman or amulet there with those tools and let them sit there for 24 hours. If you work with a pentacle, then you can put your talisman or your amulet on your pentacle and let it cook there for 24 hours. And once you've finished with your magic, you've done it, you've said, so mote it be, you leave it there, you blow out the candles, you leave it there to cook, then go and do something fun. Okay, do something fun, like, watch some cat videos or dog videos or whatever makes you laugh, whatever brings joy to your heart. Go and do that and really raise your vibe to something really happy and really positive, knowing that it's done. The talisman is done. It's just cooking, okay, or simmering for another 24 hours. Okay, Jib. I used to have a lucky red carnelian pyramid. It pinched keeping it in my right pocket, but I was attracting wealth with it. Oh, awesome. Carnelian, yes, I can see how carnelian would work with that. It's very much sacral chakra, but a really dark carnelian can almost be going into the root chakra too, which is really, really powerful for attracting money. Wonderful. Goat videos. Okay, any type of animal video can be funny and hilarious to watch. But whatever it is that you enjoy doing, do that at the end of your spell work, regardless of whether you're making a talisman or an amulet. Okay. Magic is magic. There's really not a lot of complexity to it. If you're just doing folk magic, it doesn't have to be complex. I know that there are some schools of magic, particularly ceremonial magic, where you're doing all sorts of complicated things, and there's sigils, and there's symbols, and there's circles, and there's triangles, and that's more for, I guess, spirit invocation. But it doesn't have to be complex. It's something we all have the ability to do. It's something we've all been born with the ability to do. We live in a magical universe. The whole divine nature of the universe is magical. And we are here to create what we want to create. And I think for really deep down inside, most people really just want to create. Unless you're a psychopath, you want to create joy, you want to create peace, you want to create good stuff, for yourself and for others. You know that when you're in a good mood and you're feeling really, really, really good, you're more likely to want others to feel good with you. You want to share that feeling with other people because it feels so good. And we have the right to create that in our lives so that we can then share that with other people. And that's what the whole divine energy is. It's not some god in the sky somewhere. It is all of us, gods and goddesses, spirits, us in 3D reality, plants, animals. We're all creating here, and we want to create things that are positive. So it's tapping into our divine nature and to our ability to be able to create, and we actually have the right to do that. So enjoy that. So hopefully that helped you. If you do want to learn witchcraft with me, Mystery Witch School 101 12-month course is there for you to get you right from the very beginnings of working with energy. So doing energy work and getting used to what energy actually feels like, so that when you are charging things like candles or talismans, you really do have a sense of feeling what that is. I work also with meditations to help get you more in control of your mind, because the mind really does need to be under control to be able to create our life or co-create. So we need to be able to be mentally focused and be able to concentrate for at least 60 seconds on something, preferably longer than that, for about maybe 5 minutes. So there's exercises in various different types of meditations, magical meditations, as well as learning how to use your tools, setting up ritual circle for both hemispheres. Doing magic, so that's magic, candle magic in general, as well as protection magic, and also financial magic, and then working with the rituals like the Sabbats and working with various deities that are often associated with those Sabbats. So that's a course that goes over a 12-month period. You can take longer than 12 months to do that. But I have actually structured it so that you have to take at least 12 months to do it, because it's about you experiencing the craft. It's about you tapping into your spiritual roots, and through the processes and the activities, you start to connect to who you are. You start to become more confident in yourself and in your magic and in your connection to your higher self and to spirit. So that's the whole point of the Mystery Witch School 101. It's not just about what you read in a book. It's about actually doing it in a way that's actually going to connect you to your higher self and to spirit, and help you create that life with joy and peace and magic. So I'll put the link to that in the chat. There's also a link, of course, in the description field below this video. Okay, thank you, Money. Okay, so blessed be everyone. Have a wonderful week. I will see you again next week, and it'll be at the same time. I'm going to be making it this time now. It's half an hour later than what it was last year, just simply because it's just easier. I'm in Australia, so it's a 10 o'clock start here rather than a 9:30 start. Okay, so have a wonderful and a blessed week, and we'll see you next week.